Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 154 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. First of all, I just want to say thank you for listening. I'm so grateful we get to spend this time together every week, and I'm really glad you're here, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. If you are, don't forget to share it with a friend or five. And if you could, scroll down and leave me a review, because I'm working on reaching more people, and you play a big role in that. So thank you. Now, with everything going on in the world, it seems like distracting yourself from life is a really great way to deal for most of us. And it is one way to deal for sure, but is constantly distracting ourselves from life a good thing? Well, I guess you would have to consider the distraction. If you're spending time with your family or doing things that are positive for you as a distraction, well, maybe. But that isn't the case for most of us. I have gotten way better at just really not paying any attention to my phone. I love connection and I'm extremely social, so I'm always up for social activities. But with the fun connections on social media, it's easy to get sucked into the not so fun connections, the drama side. Whatever that drama du jour is for you. Maybe it's COVID, maybe it's politics, maybe it's your friends having dinner and not inviting you. I don't know. Those are all valid to me. Well, this isn't an episode about distraction. Sorry, I got distracted. But most of us do have some pretty valid things going on in life that sometimes it's just easier to distract ourselves from it. So what is that for you? How is your life going? Are you dwelling on the past sometimes so you're feeling a little depressed? Maybe you're worrying about the future so you're in a state of anxiety. Maybe you're simply angry at what's going on in the world and you feel isolated and lonely. Whatever it is you're feeling, just know that it's your thoughts that create your feelings. Your feelings create your actions, which ultimately create the quality of your life. And sometimes we just get so stuck in a pattern of thoughts and behaviors that it becomes a pretty entrenched identity for us. We actually start just thinking we are what we do and think every day, which isn't true. It does dictate the quality of our life, but it isn't who we are, so we can absolutely change it. You aren't your negative thoughts. You are not your negative behaviors, and you aren't your bad habits. You can change any of those at any time. Try thinking about yourself as a clean slate. You're an imperfect human with a fresh new start, because that's what you have every single day. You see, sometimes, and we all do it, but sometimes we doom ourselves to a life of misery because we let our past mistakes keep running our thoughts. Or maybe the things that other people say to us or about us run our thoughts. Or worse yet, we let our sister or our mother or our father or our friends run our thoughts. And then we end up feeling unworthy or whatever negative thought we like to have about ourselves. And that doesn't serve anyone to do that. So try to separate yourself from the things that don't serve you any longer. And I'm not saying don't take responsibility for your life. I'm saying don't identify yourself in a way that is limiting you. At some point, we all have to say, I'm responsible for me, and the way my life is turning out is on me at this point. Now, when we were born and as we were growing up, we didn't have a lot of choice as to what our environment was that we were born into. Nobody did. That environment early on did shape us for sure. But it doesn't mean we can't change a lot about the trajectory now. Neither of my parents have a college degree, and most of the people I grew up with didn't either. But I broke that pattern once I became an adult. Now, the main reason your life is the way it is because of your habits and your thoughts, not because of your genes. Sometimes it just feels that way because we tend to fall into the same habits and thoughts as the people around us. In Dr. Dispenza's book, You Are the Placebo, which I am almost done with, he talks about our genes do set some things for our life, but not everything, not even close. So if you aren't changing something, you're choosing it. Whether because it's too hard in your opinion to change or your circumstances seem too overwhelming to change it, but we can't blame society or the government or our parents if we want to create a life that excites us, even when it feels justified, and sometimes it does. It doesn't serve us to play the victim to anyone. Victimhood gives all your power to someone else. I don't know about you, but I personally want to be in control of my power and my future. Maybe you feel trapped in an identity that you've always had and you don't feel like you can change it. You can, but it has to start with you. Because a lot of times the people closest to you will keep reiterating that identity on you. Maybe not in a malicious way, but it's pretty common for that to be the case. So the change has to start with you. Now, maybe you've always been the class clown, or maybe you've always been the chubby one or the troublemaker, and your mom reminds you of this, or your sister likes to remind you of this. Maybe you've been a hard partier in the past and your friends still like to put you in that category. You don't have to just accept that. Don't put yourself in a box, and certainly don't allow others to do it either. We grow and we evolve and we change. And if you don't look at your life 10 years ago and cringe just a little, you may need to step up your game. I think about some of the things I did in my 20s and even my 30s. I'm glad I'm not there anymore. Let's just say that. And that's okay. We don't have to be stuck with an identity that we had in the past. I love this story about the young man who was right here in Memphis that had a mentor he was working with to help him because he was having a lot of problems in school with his grades. He was super smart, but he was also the class clown in school, always the one goofing off, getting in trouble. Well, his mentor lost touch with him when he moved out of his district. Well, one day they ran into each other and the mentor was asking him how he was doing because he seemed like he was doing really well. The young man told him he was doing amazing and his grades were really good now and everything had turned around since he moved. Of course, the mentor asked him what changed. And he said, well, at my new school, they didn't know me as the class clown, so I didn't have to be that anymore. That changed everything for him. We will try to live up to an identity, and the people around us will often hold you to an identity. So you have to change it. And you don't have to move schools or towns to do it, even though that does make it easier. But tell your friends and family when they try to put you in a category, that is not who I am. And then let them see by your actions who you really are. It isn't easy, but nothing worth having really is. And wherever you are, it's okay. Please know that. You may be just beginning to change something. You might be midway, or maybe you're just thinking about making a change. But you're exactly where you're supposed to be in your journey, and things are working out in your favor. I really do hope you know that. Just remind yourself that every day. I mean, there's no rush to get anywhere. You aren't behind. You aren't late to the game, and you're worthy just because you were born. Nothing and no one can change that. Never forget it. But the quality of your life depends on your thoughts, and it depends on your habits. Just know that you were born into this world for a reason, and it wasn't to live a mediocre, comfortable, sometimes happy life and then die. That is not what you were born for. And I'm not going to pretend to know what your purpose in life is, because I don't. You're the only person in the world that knows that. And every decision you make either brings you closer to that or further away from it. And you'll know, because if you're living your purpose, you're thriving, you're inspired, you're excited to get up for the day. Maybe not every day, but most days. So by separating yourself from your behaviors and your thoughts, you're able to step outside and see how they're affecting you. If they're leading you down the path of your own wildly successful life, or if they're taking you down the easy road to mediocrity. So try this for a minute, just for a minute. Take the thoughts that you have daily and your daily habits and attach them to another person. So like that person you're observing had those thoughts and habits. Think about that for a minute. How is that person's life going to be? Will they be healthy? Will they be happy? Are they going to thrive with those habits? Would the thoughts terrify them? You know how when you have a friend or maybe a family member that's on a path that isn't good, maybe they're dating someone that treats them poorly or drinking too much, partying too much, maybe they're missing work or school, and everyone on the outside can see it, but the person is kind of oblivious. That's kind of how most of us are when it comes to our own thoughts and behaviors. Sometimes we know we're on a path that isn't serving us, but we just don't want to do the work to change it. I mean, you are a product of your environment, and you're the only person that can change it. If there's something you want to change, what are you waiting for? No one's going to knock on your door and change it for you, and it is not going to get easier. In fact, the longer you let something go, the harder it is to change. So starting right now is the best time you've got. I recently changed my diet drastically, not because I have some dreadful disease or because it was crippling me. I changed it because I could tell if I stayed on the trajectory I was on, the way I was feeling was only going to get worse and harder to fix. Now, I'll tell you, it's sort of weird, but one of my problems was my big toe was really kind of stiff and had pain in it. Whenever I tried to wear my heels or do certain yoga poses, it really hurt. Now, I knew I hadn't injured it, so it had to be something internal. I also knew it probably wasn't going to stop there. It would only get worse if I didn't do something now. Now, during my detox this last week, which wasn't fun, but I woke up one day and for the first time, I could bend my toe and actually move it without pain. So after a month of eating only things that were good for my body, it was able to start healing. Now, it's not completely back to perfect, but it is undeniably better, and that's good enough proof for me that it's working. That's a change that isn't fun to make, but it makes the quality of my life way better. So my challenge to you this week is identify the thoughts and behaviors that aren't serving you. Maybe pick just one. We all kind of know what they are, don't we? Maybe you have an identity that's causing those behaviors, like, I'm late all the time, that's just how I am, which causes you to never do the things you need to be on time. Or the one that I used to have, I'm just not a size 4 body, which gave me an excuse for why I couldn't be where I wanted to be. But once I changed that identity, my behaviors changed, which created new habits. Now, another I hear a lot is, I hate working out, which causes you to dread working out, which means you'll do anything to avoid it. Now, also don't try to lie to yourself and say, okay, I love working out, because that doesn't work either. Maybe just soften it to something like, I do feel a lot better when I work out, or I do love the way I feel once I've finished working out. Those are true statements, and they tell your subconscious that you would like to do more of it. See how that works? You aren't your thoughts, but the quality of your life is created by them. So get really aware of what they are. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.